Today we're going to animate a run cycle using a character rig. So I'm opening up Tahoma 2D. You can use OpenToons as well. This rig will work in OpenToons. If you remember the zip file I sent you, the sandbox zip file that I sent you with the different characters, if you look in there, you will see a rig called the Blue Walker rig. That's what I want you to click on. And this is what's going to show up, this little this guy in a blue suit. If well, where I selected it, I had it in recent files. You may not have it in recent files, so you'll have to go up to the file section, and you will have to look for load scene, and then you will have to look for that folder, right? Sandbox scenes, and then look for where is it? Blue Walker rig, right? There's the Blue Runner rig as well, but yeah, whichever one. So I've chosen Blue Walker rig. Now, if by chance when you open yours you see keyframes, I want you to delete those keyframes, right? And let me show you how you do that. I'm going to load another scene that I believe has keyframes in it. Right, so this has keyframes in it. So here's what we are going to animate. We're going to animate a character running like this, right? Of course, don't try to resubmit what I've sent, right? That's not going to work. So what you're going to do if you want to erase is you're going to click on any keyframe, right? These little dots on screen, or if you're using OpenToons, it looks like a key. Just click on the key or click on the dot, and when it changes color, you're going to right click it. And then you're going to click select all, and it's going to select all the keyframes. If you notice, all the keyframes have changed color now, and then I'm going to just hit delete. And that would have removed all of the keyframes. If you want to know how I got this background on the screen, you'd remember last class how we imported the reference images, where we download an image of a background and we just drag it into the scene. And if we want to resize it, of course, we use the animate tool to resize it. So in this particular case here, if I wanted to resize the background, I would click on the background layer below, and I would click on the animate tool, or you can use A for the shortcut. And when I look up at the attributes, remember the attributes for each tool are at the top below the menu. I'm going to click on scale, and I'm going to just scale this up to somewhere that I think is appropriate. And I'm going to click position, and then I'm going to just position him probably here on the sidewalk, right? And I'm going to just move the image over. Let me see how much image I have. So maybe I'll scale it up even more. So we're going to change the scale. And we scale up to that position. So again, if you want to use this one that has a background, then I would definitely suggest you looking at the Blue Runner rig and deleting the keyframes. Or if you want to start with the Walker rig, that's fine too. Now, if I want to move this character down, I would have to go into the node view or the schematic view, and I would have to click on hip and make sure position is clicked, and move my character to where I want my character to be. All right. And the reason why it's hip, because the hip, everything is connected to the hip, so the hip controls everything. So how do we make our character run? So I'm not going to show you the hard way to animate it. I'm going to show you the easy way. And if you go to the tools, and look for a tool that looks like a bone. And you're going to click on that bone. And you're going to see these little gray rods show up in your character right here. These are the bones. Now, by default, the property for the bones is set to build skeleton. So don't click anything just yet. I want you to go up to the drop down menu for the where the properties are, and you're going to click on animate. So now that you click on animate, you see those rods have disappeared, and instead we see dots. Now what happens is if you click on a dot, um, I think you end up moving the, well, you have to click on a shape first. So for example, if I want to move this arm here, right, you see this, the arrow looks bent. That means I can move this character's arm. If I click on this cross here, you'll see a cross here that looks like a plus with a green dot in it. If I hover my mouse over that, I can move the arm so that I can replicate shoulder movement, right? And that goes for everything. Click on a shape, can move the leg. Oops. I don't know why that's happening. And then I can move the body parts, right? So that's where we are at. Cool. So now that we can do that, we want to get our character into the positions that we need them for the run. And if we remember correctly, we could, again, if you want, you can use the references and bring the references in. I am going to freestyle it because you already know what the references look like. You already have a copy of the reference. So the first pose that I want is, this is a run. So the first pose that I would want is the contact pose. So remember, the legs and arms oppose each other. So if if the right leg is back, the right arm is forward. I'm going to just bend the elbow here. And it's the opposite for the other leg. And I can click on this upper arm here. Sometimes when shapes are too close to each other, you kind of have to zoom in so you can get a proper grab of the shape. I'm going to move the shoulder back. So that's my first pose. Now you need to look down in the timeline to see what has been keyframed. So as you can see, the objects I've moved or the shapes I've moved have been keyframed. The upper arm, the forearm, the foot, calf. I'm going to go in and I'm just going to kind of keyframe everything by pressing Z on each cell corresponding to a shape. And this is because I just want to make sure that this pose is frozen as is. I don't want anything to happen to them. It's kind of like locking them in to the last position you set them. So let's say every 12 seconds. Let's look and see what this looks like. Let's say 12 frames. Let's say every 12 frames we land on the opposite foot. I am now going to push this back. Oh, let me set the onion skin. I'm going to set the onion skin so that I can see what the previous position looked like. Really not sure why the foot is not showing up. That's very interesting. It's almost as if it's saying the keyframe for the foot is not set. Let me just check to make sure. Foot 1, keyframe is set. Where's foot 2? Oh, that's also called foot 1. All right, keyframe set, so it should be fine. We get closer. Oopsie. So there we have it. We need to move this hip forward a bit. I'm not sure why we're seeing the onion skin for the wrong set of legs. That's very strange. Not sure why that is. Anyway, Let's continue. I'm going to click on this hip here, move it back a bit. All right, let's not waste too much time. So I'm going to move this forward now. Oops, coming closer, move that forward. It's about right. Move that back. And then I want to just bring these shoulders back. Not really getting this properly. I will leave it as is. Can we? Not really able to grab that arm, so maybe I can grab it from here. Not sure if that's it. Upper arm. Is this upper arm? Yes, there we go. Let's fold this out a bit more. Right, so here we have this. Oh, it looks like this arm was not set. Everything seems to have a keyframe, so that's very strange. Upper arm front. Upper arm back. Yeah, there's a keyframe here, so I'm not sure why this is like this, but no big deal. We just go to that and we're just going to pull it back. Oops. Upper arm. All right, let me undo a bit. Let me make sure this is keyframed. It is keyframed. All right, so that seems to be set. So I move this forward, move the shoulder forward, move this back, rotate that back. There we go. I want to move this hip back. There we go. So there we have the contact poses. And then I'm going to go to 12. Wait, let me see how fast that plays out. That's a very slow run. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift this over to 6. 6 might be better. So here's what I want to do. I want to, let me just control Z. Sorry, not control Z, Z to keyframe everything here. All right, so everybody's keyframed. And this is just to freeze the pose for all of the body parts. So I'm going to click, right click on this, and then we're going to see keyframes in this column. Oh, sorry, not keyframes in this column, keyframes in this frame, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on one of these keyframes and I'm going to just drag them down to 6. All right, so let me see how that plays. All right, that looks better, at least for now. So I'm going to kind of do the same thing with the first set of keyframes. I'm going to click on the first keyframe, right click, select all keyframes in this frame, Control C, and now I'm going to go to 12, Control V. So what that does is it copies the first position to number 12, cell 12, so that we get this kind of back and forth vibe. Look, let's look. Oops. Let's stop. One thing to mention is that these little icons that look like a 5 at the end of the keyframes, right here down on the timeline. You're going to see me click on it. When you click on it, it kind of sets a continuous signal. It's saying, let the animation repeat endlessly until you get to the end of this sequence. So I'm going to do that for everybody so that all the body parts repeat their animation. There we go. So if I click on the repeat button here, the loop button, we see that he looks like he's running, but just running very funny. So now we need to fill in the in-between poses. What are these in-between poses? All right, so we're at 6. So I'm going to go into the middle and I'm going to create a passing pose. Now remember, the passing pose is when the back leg is overtaking the front leg. So the back leg here is his right, right, or on our left. And then we're going to go to 3. So it's passing. So one of the things we want to do is that the standing leg needs to be straight because that's where the body weight is. And we need to flatten this foot. And then this leg is passing. So we got to bring this here and then grab the ankles and rotate like this. Right? And the arms tend to be a little bit straight. And I can't really reach the arm behind. I would have to look for it with the forearm here. Oops, that's not it. Here, this is forearm back. All right, so I'm gonna just click the shadow of the image and hope that works. All right, cool. So that's what we get now. So the same thing has to be done at number 9, but this time the back leg is his left, right? So that left leg is overtaking. So this front leg has to be straight. Let's zoom in. Move this forward. And maybe we might bring this leg down a bit. This leg has to pass over like that. Let me move this out of the way so I can move this a little bit further. And then move this back here. So I'm going to just look and see, does it match the other one? Not really. This calf is a little bit higher. So now let's play it through. Right, so it looks like a very brisk run. So another thing now that we're going to do is we're going to look for the other poses. So after the contact, we have the down pose. So I'm going to go to frame 2. And then I'm going to bring this leg back a little, bring this leg forward a little, and then bend the shin. Oops. Bend the shin. So that it's parallel with the ground, and we make sure that the foot is flat. Right. And then now you're going to have the up position. And this can tilt out like that. This leg goes back a little bit. Calf straighten. Toe point. And the arms could do it being a little bit wider. Come upper arm. All right, because that's in the way, it's a little bit hard to move, but let's just work without it for now. And then we have our up in the air pose. So coming closer, and this leg is up here. is up here. This can curve back a little. Now we can bring these legs, these arms even further apart. We need to be able to connect to this one. All right, let me click on it in here. All right, cool. Just making sure I've selected the right one. Oh. Why is this thing not allowing me to move it? There we go. So you have to zoom in sometimes. All right, so you see we're nearly getting that run. We're nearly getting that run, right? Nearly getting that run. So now I'm going to do the same thing here. At 8, I'm going to have the down position here. So there you go. Oh, actually, no. At 7, I'll have the down. And 9 is already passing pause. All right. And then we have the up. Yep, this is a series of going in and going out because things overlap a little. So this goes up to that height. That height. All right, so we're gonna bend this in a little. All right, cool. So our run is looking more and more like a run. As I play it through, we see here the run is looking more like a run. So one of the things I'm going to do to help sell this run is I'm going to lean the body forward a little bit. So let's play that back. All right, reason this is happening is because we set keyframes, but that's fine. I'm going to send this forward a bit. Oops. I'm going to look for the body. Where's the body, 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 body? All right, let me look for it. Where can I look for it? Body. All right, let me look for it in node view. That's chest. Oh, I'm looking for waist. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the keyframe, the first keyframe for waist, and I'm going to copy it at the end so that I get that forward position. So now the character looks like he's bobbing up and down. Basically, he's pushing his body forward as he's running forward, and then as he lands, he kind of stands up straight again for the balance, and then leans forward again. Right. So if we play that through, so that's a kind of run. Or what we can do just to make it even better is on the passing pause, he straightens up. On this contact, he needs to move forward too. So passing pose, we can straighten him up. Oops. And we do that for both passing poses. Just going to straighten him up for the passing pose. All right, see how that works out. All right, so we run looking more like a run now. He's looking like, yeah, I'm charging, I'm charging. So other things that you can do to make the run look better. These are just some small tips. So one thing is for sure, the arms. To make this look more believable, we want the shoulders to be forward or the arms to be forward when, the arms are pointing forward. So I'm going to just move this here. And I'm going to do it again. Well, right here, the arm is already back, so that's fine. And then we're going to move it forward here again. I'm going to do the same for this. This arm needs to come back. Here it needs to come forward, which I think is forward enough. And then here it needs to go back. So let's play this through again. All right, so it looks a little better because now the shoulders look like them running accordingly. The only thing now is that his head looks stiff, right? And that's because it's just in one place. So what we're going to do is, as he's coming up to his passing pose, we will perhaps let his head drift a little bit forward. Oops, that's his hair. Still won't allow me to. Alright, so we bow the head down. Bow the head up. Four, 6, 8. As he's lunging forward, let's move the head. Oops, back. As he lunges back, we'll move the head forward. As we lunges forward, we'll move the head back. So we're treating it as if there's drag. There's something pulling his head back. Let's see what that looks like to see if it looks right. If it doesn't look right, we do it the opposite way around. Yeah, it doesn't quite look right, so let's do it the opposite way around. Let's say here, his head is slightly down. In the upright position, he's slightly up. Downright position, down again. Upright position. Oops. Up again. And the final one, down again. So let's see if this looks okay. Almost looks a little bit better. So the other things that make your animation come to life are the other things that I was telling you about, the bobbing up and down. So now I'm going to grab the hip. So I'm going to look for the hip in this view here. Or you could just look in the timeline and just click on hip. And I am going to choose, I'm going to go back to the animate tool. No longer in the bone tool. Going back to the animate tool and I'm going to choose hip. So once I've chosen hip now and I'm going to make sure that this is at position, what I'm going to do is I'm going to assume that this is my regular height. So I'm going to move along. Here at this passing pose, he's going to want to go higher. And I'm going to show you why. So I'm going to create a new level. And this new level is just going to be a line. And this line just serves as a marker for me to know where on earth are his feet positioned. Right? All right, so there we go. So this will keep me honest and let me know exactly where the feet need to be planted. The other thing is I need to extend the frame. So remember, to extend the frame, you click on the cell, look right down here, and you drag that gray tab across. All right, so let's drag it to here and just set a keyframe and just click on the repeater. All right, bam, back in business. So I have this line, and I'm going to just make sure my character stays on this line, planted or, and off the line when appropriate. So I'm looking at the passing pose, and the foot passes. The foot passes where it's supposed to be. So what I'm going to do to fix that is very simple. Again, I'm going to click A or go to the animate tool, make sure position is selected, make sure your hip is selected. Hip, 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 there's hip. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say, let's move my character up. I can see that his foot is not fully planted, so I'll have to take care of that later. And then two, they need to bring this down, bring this up. And then this 2 point here. So we're gonna move our character up. So this is creating the height that we need. And then now he's jumping, so we're gonna go even higher. Right? And then he's landing. I'll make sure it lands on the line. And it doesn't, so let's bring him down a bit. And then the down is not on the line either, so we'll bring that down a bit. The passing pose isn't on the line, so we up that a bit. This looks perfect, just with a slight drop. And then the end. So let us play and see what this looks like now that I've added a little bit more life into it. All right, so the repeating causing a little bit of issue, but I can simply fix that by dragging this bar here above the timeline with the white tab across to like about 1 frame less. Let's play it and see now. Repeat. Somewhat okay. Still a little stiff. The timing, we could go in and adjust the timing, but that's a little bit too much. I think it's moving too fast. This timing does not seem realistic. So I could go in and just shift these down. Let me see what it previews at if I put back in 12 frames per second. Let's see what we have here. So this is sort of a slow run. So this is too slow. So we perhaps want a speed that is in between the two speeds, in between 12 and 24. So call that 18 instead. So 18 is a little bit better. And it has this limp because some things didn't copy perfectly. But this is pretty much your run cycle. And let me stop it. And I'm going to just take the background now and I'm going to move the background. So I'm going to I already set a keyframe for the background. All right, so I'm going to go to the end of it now. And I'm going to use my animate tool and position and just drag this across. All right, let me look on the speed and see how this looks. So you see how this is looking. Looks like he's moving a little too fast, but hey, it is what it is. So that's the lesson. I think you can comprehend from that how to animate this character. Just watch the video over if you're confused about anything. Ask your friends, let them explain it to you. If after you've asked your friends you don't get anything, you can always contact me again. So that is it for the walks.